Hello everyone, welcome back to another haul video. It has been quite a while since I've done one. These will be everything I got in May and June, which seems like so long ago because this is now well into August, so I am very much behind, but I will of course be doing this video and then of course doing the one for July, which will encompass all the things I got at the July Barnes & Noble Criterion sale, which was quite a lot this year, more than I expected. So get prepared for that, because that's going to be a bit of a longer video when it comes to just straight Criterions. But I apologize for this being so delayed. My podcast, Chasing Labels, which you can find in the description in below, has been taking up a lot of my time lately because of just the amount of work that I'm putting into it and the amount of time it takes to do all the things I'm doing with it. But the one thing that hasn't been slowing down is that it has been me buying comic books and movies, Blu-rays, 4Ks, and we'll be getting into all of that here. First up is a bunch of comics. These will be all the comics I've got pretty much for the last 3 months or so, so they're going to be sectioned off into 3 different parts because I like to separate them month by month so I can keep track of everything when everything comes out. But first up here is X-Men number 19 by Jonathan Hickman, and this is from the ongoing series that is continuing right along now, and I believe Jonathan Hickman is jumping off this series. And next up I have New Mutants number 17. And now we dip into some more indie stuff, and this is all the Firefly comics that I typically picked up. And this is a number 1 from a spin-off series called Firefly Brand New Verse. This is issue number 2. And then we go back into the main series with issue number 27. These are all put out by Boom Studios. And then finally here we have issue number 28. And moving right along to the next stack that I have here is Planet Size X-Men number 1. And then I have X-Men number 20. Sorry for the glare. And then I have X-Men number 21. And I have X-Factor number 9. And then I have New Mutants number 18. And I have New Mutants number 19. And now I dip into the Firefly stuff with Firefly number 29. And then I have that spin-off series issues, Firefly Brand New Verse issues number 3. And issue number 4. Now we have the last batch of comics, and first up here is an X-Men number 1. Next up here we have X-Factor number 10. Next up here we have some DC action with DC Shazam number 1 of 4, so this is a mini-series. And next we have New Mutants number 20. And then we have Firefly Brand New Verse number 5. And then Firefly number 30. And finally here, to round out all of the comic book stuff, is one big hardcover trade that I got, and this is Superman the Man of Steel Volume 2, and this is stuff that's written by John Byrne, Marv Wolfman, Jerry Ordway, and this is stuff that was all from the late 80s and the early 90s. This goes right along with the Volume 1 that I got a few months ago, so there's already a Volume 3 that is out as well. I still need to get that, and yeah, I'm so glad to finally get this entire run all together in these larger volumes. I know a lot of people wanted omnibuses instead, but I'll take what I can get at this point. So moving right along here to all of the movie acquisitions, May and June was a really productive month when it came to acquiring a lot of movies and a lot of additions to the collection, so I'll try to go through all of them as quickly as I possibly can. First up here is a release by Severin, and this is The Changeling. The Changeling stars George C. Scott. Great horror film, great ghost story. Highly recommend it, and really recommend this release from Severin. Next up is a Synapse release, and this is Dario Argento's Suspiria, but it is the 4K Ultra HD release. Now, this does not come with the Blu-ray version of the movie, but does come with the Blu-ray disc of extra features that the Blu-ray edition does come with. So it's a big old kind of circus there. But this movie looks amazing in this quality, and that's why I wanted to get it. The Blu-ray already looked fantastic. This looks even better. Next up is one of my favorite films from last year, and this is Minari. And moving right along here to a few 4K Ultra HD releases. The first one here is an upgrade from a Blu-ray that desperately needed it, and this is the Paul Newman and Robert Redford starring film, The Sting. Paul Newman is my favorite actor of all time, so of course I had to get this upgrade, and yeah, this looks leaps and bounds better than that old Blu-ray does. Next up is a Tim Burton film that I did not have, and that is Big Fish. This may in fact be one of his best, if not his best film in my opinion. It's either this or Ed Wood, so I needed this in the collection. Next up is another much necessarily needed Blu-ray upgrade to the 4K edition, and that is Speed. This movie is still tons of fun. It still holds up to this day. And the 4K of it looks absolutely fantastic. I was extremely impressed by how amazing this looks. Next up is a film that I've been trying to get in the collection for so many years, and this is a Scream Factory Collector's Edition of Dracula, starring Frank Langella. And then last in this stack here is another kind of Blu-ray to Blu-ray upgrade, but we're getting a better transfer, we're getting more special features, we're getting a more deluxe package, and that is the Arrow Video Edition of Mallrats. Kevin Smith, I think, is one of my favorite directors of all time. I've always really enjoyed his films. I own them all. I've seen them all many times, and yeah, I needed to get this because I never actually bought the Blu-ray that came out from Universal a few years ago. So, next stack of movies here, and June was my birthday month, so a lot of these were birthday gifts to myself or from others, so that's why there are so many of them. But first up here is something that I've wanted for so long, and this is the Vincent Price Collection, Volume 1. There are 3 of these. This is the reissue that came out last year, so it is missing a couple of things from the original release, which was back in 2014. I'll get into that when I do a much deeper review of this release here, what the difference are, but I was so happy to actually get this because I just need more Vincent Price. You can never go wrong with more Vincent Price in your collection. And next up here is a bit of a counterpart to that, or a bit of a kind of goes hand in hand with it, is Dracula Prince of Darkness, starring the great Christopher Lee. Another one just circling for years and never pulling the trigger on, and I finally got it with the slipcover. I was able to get this on eBay. For those of you who collect the Scream Factory editions, know that the slipcovers can be really tough to get, especially so many years after these movies have come out. And then next up here are 3 films, all from director Pedro Almodovar. The previous video that I had done was all of the films in my collection from Pedro Almodovar, so you probably saw all of those there already. If you haven't, please check out that video after you've seen this one. First up here is Pride and Glory, which is one of his more newer releases. Next up is Giulietta. And then next is I'm So Excited. And I went into all of those in detail and all the special features and whatnot. Next up here is another upgrade for me. This is a DVD to Blu-ray upgrade, and this is Glengarry Glen Ross. This is a Shout Select release. This is a really fantastic release. This looks amazing. This looks absolutely fantastic. Next up is a little bit of some classic films, and this is Greta Garbo starring in Ninotchka, a film by the great Ernst Lubitsch. And this is put out by Warner Brothers. This was not put out by their Warner Archive line. This was something that came out right before their Warner Archive line kind of took over, putting out all their back catalog titles. Then next up is a back catalog from 20th Century Fox, and that is Desk Set, starring Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. Next up here is a bit of a rarity for me. This is a television series box set, if you will, and this is Doctor Who, the complete David Tennant collection. And the reason why I bought this is because for some reason, Amazon had this for like 70% off. And it was an absurdly cheap price, I think of like $18 or so. and I couldn't pass that up. I've been really wanting to get into Doctor Who for several years, and I've been wanting to collect the Blu-rays, but for some reason the BBC stuff over here in the States is rather expensive, and it's always been that way, so when I could snag it for cheap, and that was fortuitous for me. And next is another classic film, and this is a classic film noir starring Veronica Lake and Alan Ladd, and this is The Glass Key, a Shout Select release. I need to get This Gun for Hire, which goes along with this, as well as The Blue Dahlia. Next is another UHD 4K release, and this is Wonder Woman 1984. Believe whatever you may about this film, it does look quite stunning, and it is going to look great in 4K UHD format, and I understand the criticisms of this movie, but I overall enjoyed it. Next up is another film by one of my favorite actors of all time, and he actually directed this film. And this film stars Paul Newman, Henry Fonda, and Lee Remick, and that is Sometimes a Great Notion. I don't think a lot of people know about this movie, and I've always thought it was super underrated, not only for Paul Newman's filmography, but just as a movie in general. And lastly here, I have an edition of a fantastic movie, and this is The Swimmer, starring Bert Lancaster. This is, I believe, a 3-disc edition. It comes with a soundtrack, as well as 2 Blu-rays, and this movie, talk about great films, this movie is fantastic. I really love this movie a lot. I love Bert Lancaster as an actor, and recently, over the last a year or so, I've just watched so many Bert Lancaster films, and gotten so many that I really need to just do a whole video maybe on Bert Lancaster someday. So we are coming into the home stretch now, and I've saved the literal and figurative biggest things for last. First up here being an indicator release, and this is of the film Road Games, starring Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis. This film is directed by Richard Franklin, and this is a wonderful, thick boxed edition of the film. Great special features. Indicator and Powerhouse Film are putting out amazing work, and I've talked about them a bunch here on this channel recently, as well as on my podcast a lot. And staying within the Indicator family, I have the Columbia Noir box sets number 1 and number 2. And I know that there's a third one out right now, as well as a fourth one, so I'm a little bit behind, but at least I'm halfway there to catching up. This is an amazing box set. These sets are honestly second to none when it comes to the presentations of these movies, as well as heaps and heaps of special features. These are definitely going to be reviewed once I am able to go through many of them. Here is Volume 2, like I said. I love how each box set has a different cover art, has a different pastel color. I really love the colors on these, and I really love just the solid makeup of all of the Indicator box sets so far. And staying within the boutique label world right now, I have the Lindsay Baker set put out by Severin. And this box set features a team-up between director Umberto Lenzi as well as actress Carol Baker. They made films together in the late 60s into the early 70s. These are Giallo films, so they're Italian films, and they're really interesting to watch. I really enjoy Giallo, so I was really fascinated to get into this. I knew nothing about Umberto Lenzi going into it, so that was an education for me. Really cool box set. It is, I believe, sold out right now, but you can still find copies around on the internet, so snag this up if you haven't already. And then last but certainly not least is literally the biggest box set that I've bought in quite some time, and this is a 9-disc set, 8 Blu-rays, 1 CD, and a booklet, of course, and this is the Eurocrypt of Christopher Lee collection, also put out by Severin. This is a gorgeous box. I love the colors, I love the functionality of it. These will all be getting reviews at some point in time because they're just so wonderfully done, and they come with lots of special features, and the films look better than they ever have before, so this is really fantastic set here. I'm a big fan of Christopher Lee, so it was really awesome to add this to this collection. That has been everything for May and June of 2021. Like I said, most of these will be getting reviews, but if there's anything you want to see in more depth, please let me know. Also, if you have any questions, please let me know. Please subscribe to my podcast, Chasing Labels, as well as subscribing here if you like this video, as well as the other videos that I have. Thank you for watching.